Hi there, my name's Eli Giessen. I'm a bureaucrat at its heart. I'm the person who makes the trains run on time. Some people think being a bureaucrat is this awful, nightmarish thing. I take a lot of pride in it because it means I can be basically the back-end person who is making everyone succeed and look good. The David Suzuki Foundation is, the project founded by David Suzuki and a team of others 20 years ago. And they come in with this great, audacious goal, which is basically to create a new normal. To say, okay, right now it's normal for us to, live in a certain way, and we want to create a whole new way of people living. So it's sustainable, it's green, it's better for our health. It's this wild piece that they've created, and to get at that, we currently are running 20 projects every year, coming in at health issues and coming in trying to address political issues and policy issues and global warming issues and healthy seafood issues. And we're every year just chipping away a little bit at the big challenge, which is how do we change people's behaviors. I work at the David Suzuki Foundation at its heart because of the celebrity. I grew up as a kid listening to CBC Radio's Ideas, and David Suzuki would have radio programs on that series. And so that was my first contact with David Suzuki, and I was like, that guy's super cool. And he's always sassing it to my parents by saying your parents' generation don't understand, they've been living it the wrong way. So as a kid, I got to feel really smug about it, and David really inspired me to sort of take lots of little steps in my life. So, I live in a small apartment, I don't have a car, I ride my bike around, I recycle, I try to eat less meat than I otherwise would. So I make lots of little steps in my life, which are very much inspired by David's influence on me as a child. So when I got the accidental opportunity to come work here, man, did I ever leap at that. To help him advance his mission further? Come on, how great is that? Over here in Creative Services at the David Suzuki Foundation, we are an online-focused group. And so when I showed up at the organization 4 years ago, there was one person tending a website, doing web updates here and there, and that was the end of it. We have now expanded into quite a large team with a pile of interns because social media has radically changed the work we can do, but it has also radically changed the amount of work to be done. It used to be we had a website and we'd send out an email once a month, and that was it. We were done. And now through social media, we've started building this giant community, who comes in because of the issue, who come in because of their love of David Suzuki. And so now I've got a giant Facebook group, a Twitter group. We've got, way more pages on the website now. We've got several different segmented email groups. And so now instead of just doing a quick put together a website, put together an email campaign, now we've got these giant integrated marketing campaigns. And that's before we bring in, the Google AdWords and some print ads, which might bring people into those same products. It's really changed our work. So now we go from being a place which has a little teeny weeny broadcast channel where you send out an email to now I've got these giant broadcast channels where I've got my website as a broadcast channel because there's a like button on every single one of our pages, which means fans are now coming to our page and saying like, and it's showing up in their Facebook, and then their friends are liking it. And so we're broadcasting both in two ways. We actually have our fans broadcasting for us at some level. So what's the big difference now that I've got these giant broadcast channels? It means I have so much more control over where people go on my website and what they're actually interacting with. So in the past, when Google was 65% of all of our web traffic here at the foundation, it meant basically I was at the mercy of Google to send people to whatever page they and what puny SEO skills I may have were going to actually deliver them to. And now I can say, oh, actually, I want all of my audience right now to go to this particular page about this particular issue right now because it may be a core issue we're working on, it might be in the news. And so now 15–20% of all traffic to my website is something I completely control. And that's before the email starts coming in and kicking it in as well. So I go from a place where I sort of don't have a lot of control over what happens to my website to actually have a lot of control over where people are going on my website and what they're doing there. Right now, the Suzuki Foundation is running a million little campaigns. That's part of the magic of the social media channels. We go from a place before where I had one email channel, I could send out one message a month, because otherwise people get angry at me and say like, oh, I'm unsubscribing you because you sent me 2 messages this week, to a place where, okay, I can send 3, 4, 5 Twitter messages a day, no problem. And I can send out maybe 2, maybe 3 Facebook posts a day. And again, I'm not going to annoy my audience. They've just got a lot more tolerance for frequency. And so right now, some of the core campaigns we're running is we're supporting our online store. So we're selling some t-shirts and some calendars and some hankies, because we're environmentalists. And so we're sending people from our social media channels into the store, and thankfully they're purchasing things, which is a pretty fantastic stuff. They, so far, are not donating money, but if I move them into this transactional kind of relationship, I actually am getting people to support our work in this financial way as well. Some of the other campaigns are, sometimes we just like interact with some of our partners and some of the community. So today we are sending tweets off to the band Lights, who recently had like a photo of one of their members wearing a David shirt. And so we were trying to connect their community and our community. I was also recently sent off a Twitter message to David Miller, the ex-mayor of Toronto. Again, he's just become a board member, and he's just saying like, hey, I'm at the Suzuki Foundation, and we're, making some comments on that and having some discussion with our board members about some of the issues they've been discussing within their meetings. I am, I fall in love with tools. It's the curse of the social media world, whereas we always get in love with our tactics as opposed to, the strategies. So what are the things I love? Well, I love playing with CoTweet. CoTweet is basically, it's also, there's a local company called Hootsuite who does a similar product. It is basically a multi-user version of Twitter. So when I've got a big shop like I do with 50 people and 5 people want to play in Twitter worlds, I need to go and have some kind of control on that. And so by moving everyone into this central tool, they can all schedule when their particular tweets are going to go out, and also see what's recently gone out and what's about to go out. So that way we don't send out 2 Twitter messages at the same time. So we can be a bit more strategic about our work. Another thing I love and is absolutely core to our work is a tool called Bitly, which is one of the many URL shortening devices. And for us, it's totally key because it's the best, easiest tool we've got to say whether the things we're putting up on Facebook or on Twitter are successful. So all it is it just says like, this link you just put up was clicked this many times. And from that, we've learned a huge amount about what our audience likes, what they dislike. Basically, do they click it? Do they not click it? If they didn't click it, not worth their time. It means it wasn't of interest to them. So, if we put up a link, the goal is, well, hopefully they click it. So that's really helped us focus up our work and say like, okay, what is the right material for the right engine? So we know within our Facebook, just by following the click traffic through, that on Facebook we can talk about real lifestyle stuff. So we can talk about like, how do I green my life? In the same way, we know if we go into Twitter, what always seems to work there are things which are really like policy or political focus. So if I've got an action alert where I want to sass the Prime Minister about something, I'm going to find that someplace like Twitter is going to be a great place, and it's going to be retweeted a lot. People are going to click on it. And through that, basically through Bitly, I've been able to say what works and what doesn't work. And really, because we're in the social media world, there is not a lot of best practice. So what we find is you just need to experiment, and then look at the data and say, okay, what for me at this time with this audience worked and what didn't work.